If you don't like seeing boring classical art and you want to see modern contemporary art that will not only make your eyes pop, but also make your mind wonder, the Hirshhorn Museum in the Sculpture Garden is the place for you. This museum has a grand collection of modern-day art thanks to a man named Joseph Hirshhorn. Joseph Hirshhorn gave one of the most praised donations to the art world, which is now featured in a contemporary art museum. And with the help of many new donations, the Hirshhorn Museum is as stunning and as beautiful as it is today. Joseph Hirshhorn had a growing passion for art from his early childhood until adulthood, which led him to become one of the most praised donors to the art world. Joseph Hirshhorn was very poor as a child and was the 12th of the 13 children in his family. He and his family lived in Latvia until he was 8 years old, and at the age of 8, he and his family immigrated to New York after his father died. When they came to New York, only 10 of the 13 children were left in his family. So the first thing his mother did was to insure all of her kids for $500 so that in case they died, she would have money to bury them. When they came to America, they lived in a railroad flat. 3 of the boys slept in folding beds, and the rest of the children slept on the floor. The walls in their room were green. He hated the green walls, so he would cut pictures off of calendars and put them on the walls so that he could dream of art. This is what started his love for art, because the pictures intrigued him. As a young child, he liked to visit the Metropolitan. His friends were not interested in art, so that made art become his thing and also made him become alone a lot. He had no formal education because at the age of 13, he dropped out of school to become a newsboy. 2 years later, he took his first job on Wall Street in Manhattan, earning $12 a week. At the age of 16, he launched his career as a financier by using his savings of $255 to become a stockbroker. He chose to become a stockbroker because he thought it was very interesting. In 1924, Hirshhorn became a broker dealing with great success in bank stock and unlisted securities. From the $255 he started with, he made $167,000 in 11 months. He blew through his money by buying his mother a $4,000 house in St. Albans. He bought her a servant and gave her $500 a month. In 1929, he distrusted the booming stock market and removed his capital of $4 million just 2 months before the crash. In the late 1930s, Hirshhorn started to invest his money in Canadian mining for gold and uranium. He began to gain mining rights in Canada. He gained 56,000 acres, which turned out to be really good for mining uranium. By the mid-1950s, his interests stretched across Canada to the U.S., involving him in more than 24 mining and oil companies. Shortly after, he began to lose interest in this business. With the money he earned from his mining, he started to buy many engravings from artist Albert Dürer from people on New Street. He was also interested in American painters such as Thomas Eakins. Hirshhorn liked to visit the studios of people's art he collected. He took many pictures with the artists. He tried to become really good friends with the artists and assist them however he could. In the later 1950s, he hired a man named Adam Lerner to manage his whole entire art collection. With a vast collection of contemporary art, the Joseph Hirshhorn and Sculpture Garden was created. While Lyndon B. Johnson was president, he made it clear that Hirshhorn was going to give his whole entire art collection to the U.S., along with $1 million to help his collection be able to grow. The building opened in 1974. The Smithsonian offered for the first time a history of modern art in a building and sunken garden that were bold and daring by contemporary architectural standards. The full name of this museum is the Hirshhorn Museum and Sculpture Garden. The breadth of his collection was unknown to the public until 1962, when selected works of art were loaned to the Guggenheim Museum in New York for a major expedition. This museum was the capital's first museum of modern art only. The collection was donated in 1966. This was the most important art donation since Andrew Mellon gave his gift to the National Art Gallery. Most of the paintings he put in this museum were mostly made by Eakins, with examples of pop art, op art, and colorful paintings. He bought contemporaries from Alexander Cadler and Henry Moore. He got most of his sculpture from people like Konstantin Brynkusky. His most favorite contemporary paintings were created by Albert Dürer. Dividing his time between Washington, D.C. and Naples, Florida, Hirshhorn remained a vigorous collector and patron of arts until his death in 1981. Many people still contribute to this contemporary art collection, which makes it as stunning and as beautiful as it is today. This museum is circular with no windows in most of the building that are faced with pink granite. This is a three-floored building was made by Gordon Burnshaft. People think that this building is the most attractive in the National Mall. This collection of art is one of the most distinguished art collections in the world. Sculptures by international artists can be seen throughout the museum alongside the paintings or in many surveys along the walls overlooking the fountain, as well as amid the greenery of the outdoor fountain plaza along the pathways of the garden. The sculpture garden is located in the National Mall between Washington Monument and the Capitol Building. The sculpture garden extends from a glass-walled interior courtyard of the building. It contains a shallow pool and a fountain surrounded by masterworks of the 19th and 20th century sculpture that are considered the chief strength of the collection. Today you can find a collection of over 12,000 pieces of art in it. It grew over 10,000 pieces of art in only a short time. This is one of the greatest grown collections in the U.S. It has a black box that shows movies from famous artists and filmmakers from around the world. Every movie that is shown in this theater has to have something to do with art. By collaborating with artists on expedition programs and special projects, the Hirshhorn Museum provides an important national platform in Washington, D.C. for vision and voices of artists. It is open from 10 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. every day except for Christmas. The museum remains committed to exhibiting work and emerging and established contemporary artists. Thanks to Joseph Hirshhorn's love for art, he gave one of the most praised donations to the art world. With a vast collection of art, a wonderful modern museum was created. With the help of many new contributions, the Hirshhorn Museum and Sculpture Garden is as powerful and beautiful as it is today. So if you want to visit a place that will not only make your mind wonder, but also make your eyes pop, the Hirshhorn Museum and Sculpture Garden is the place for you.